Hey, what's up? It's Samori Coles. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I teach you the hows, whats, and whys of audio engineering, music production, and the music business. I know it's frustrating trying to learn how to record, how to mix, learn about EQ, compression, and not only that, just to know how to start a music-based brand. But I got you. 27 years ago, I left a career as a financial analyst and started on a journey in this music industry. I knew that I wasn't going to spend the rest of my life working in a cubicle, and that I loved making music, and it was exactly what I planned to do for a living, and it's what I did. So now my mission is to teach you everything that I know. You know, it's funny, more than a decade ago, I put a few videos on YouTube. One was about EQ, the other one was about compression, another was about the mixing board, and it was all of these training tutorials that I had prepared for my students at my commercial recording studio in Philly. That studio is called Little Drummer Boy Recordings. Little did I know that those videos would become super popular, amassing hundreds of thousands of views. And while I have spent a lot of time training in my facility in Philly, my focus now is to bring that training online to you. So make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell so that you know every time I post a new video. This is all about your education, all about your learning for someone who's been doing this thing for more than a couple of decades. And if you're already recording your music, click the link in the description because I will mix your music. What I like to do on these training tutorials is to mix the music of my subscribers. So if you click the link below, you'll go to a form where you can fill out your information and then get directions on uploading your stems in either WAV, MP3, or you can bundle them in a zip file. Then what I'm going to be doing is picking songs for my subscribers to mix in my YouTube tutorials, where I'll continue to talk about EQ, compression, bussing, side chaining, and so many other topics. I mean, the list goes on: mastering, reverb, delay. There's so much to learn. And not only that, we're going to focus and talk about the music business because yes, we're going to make you proficient audio engineers. We're going to teach you music theory over time, but also teach you how to market and brand yourself and build your music-based business. So I'm going to reiterate, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the little notification bell. Let's get ready to embark on this journey together. And to get things started, I'm going to take you inside of a mix that I recently did, right? This is going to be a multi-part series of a band that I recorded with my students at Little Drummer Boy Recordings. So hold tight. Let's go ahead and dig in. And I'm looking forward to what the future has in store for you because you can do it. And I'm going to help you get there. Enjoy this tutorial. What's up, guys? So we're going to jump into this mix. This is actually a band that I recorded along with some of my students at my recording studio in Philly. It's called Little Drummer Boy Recordings. And I was teaching a class, really teaching this group of students how to record a band. And the band consisted of Kevin James on the drums, Derek Baldwin on keyboards, James Cooper on bass, and Harry Lindsay on the congas. So when it comes to mixing, you know, I like to keep things simple. Audio engineering is an interesting field where you can talk to 10 different engineers and get 10 different answers on what is the right way to do things. I kind of look at things a bit different. I think it's important to understand the fundamentals, understand the basics, understand what all the different tools do, understand techniques, and then that gives you freedom and flexibility to approach mixes the way you see fit. Obviously, having systems is a great way to go about things so that you can be efficient when you're mixing. But for this mix, I'm just going to start out by listening, and I'm going to just work to get balance to start with. I'm going to work to get balance before I even start adding any EQ, compression, or what have you. It's really important to trust your ears. You know, we've all been listening to music probably our entire lives. We know what we like. And so I always like to approach things where I'm trying to get those goosebumps. I'm trying to mix in a way where it gets to the point where I just really like how it feels. And then from there, I might look at some EQ, some reverb, some delay, some compression. And I didn't always approach it this way, but, being a fan of just the history of recording and what this craft is all about, combined with being a fan of Bruce Lee, I believe to just operate like water, be flexible. And so let's just take a look at what we have. We mic the drum set. We put, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mics on the drum kit. We mic the congas with an SM7B. We mic'd the bass amp with an AKG D112, and we actually did something interesting. So this isn't the cleanest mix in the world, but we had the keyboard running through a PA speaker, and we mic'd that PA speaker with a SM7B microphone as well. So we're going to go ahead and listen to this and just dig right in. I ask that you do a couple things, just a real simple favor. Like, subscribe, comment, engage. And I'm actually looking forward to getting some stems from some of my subscribers on YouTube. I'll have a page set up where you can just go to the page, send me your stems, and I'm just going to go through and mix some of the projects that I get on YouTube. I think that's the best way to learn. Any questions you have, feel free to ask. So like, subscribe, and let's dig right in. So everything is at full scale right now. It's at 0 dB. But let me just turn a couple things down just so it makes sense. I'm going to take these drums right now and just run them to a bus. I will mix them separately, but I'm just going to select all of these. Of course, I'm in Pro Tools. So I had that kick selected. I went down to the ride. I hit shift and I clicked on that ride and it selected all the tracks. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a bus. So let me make a new track. Of course, we'll make buses out of auxes. This will be a stereo aux because I'm going to send all the drum tracks to this aux. Let me create that. And I like to stay organized, so I'm going to call this my drum bus. And the input of a bus is a bus. So I'm going to go to this import column, go to the input. And even though all these buses look like they have names, well, they do have names, but they're all white and not yellow. So they're all available, but they're pre-named. But just to make things easy to kind of follow, I'll just go to bus 3, 4. And again, that's the input there. And I'm going to right click on that bus and rename that as well. So that'll be my drum bus. Again, just to make things easy to follow. Now I'm going to send each one of these drum tracks. I'm going to send the output of each one of these drum tracks to this drum bus. And so you saw, again, I selected each track. Now I'm going to hit, hold down shift, and I'm going to hit option. I'm on a Mac right now. So shift and option, and I will left click on the output and send them to that drum bus. Boom. And so with that shift and option or shift and alt, they all went to that drum bus at the same time. So now when I play this track, let's play it from where it is. If I mute the drum bus, all the drums are gone. So just remember, when you're busing and you want to send a group of tracks to a bus, you send the output to that bus. That way you have that control over whether it's muted or unmuted, whether it's soloed, and also the volume of the entire group can now be controlled by the bus. So I like to do that just to stay organized. So again, I'm going to go back to it, and the first thing I really want to do is find the groove, which oftentimes is through the rhythm. So I'm going to just mute the keys for now. I'll mute the bass and the congas for now. Let me just deal with the drums and see what I got. Try to get a nice groove going here. And of course you do hear some bleed. Everything was recorded live, so microphones are going to pick up bleed, so we're going to live with that. And all these tracks are selected, so I'm going to hold down Option and just click one of the tracks to deselect them. And for organization's sake, I'm going to go kick, snare, hi-hat. Then I've got my toms. Then I've got an overhead. I feel like we're missing a track. We definitely had 2 overheads. Well, we'll live with that. Let me check something out. We definitely have multiple overheads, but I'm all right with that. All right, let's check this out. Toms sound good. All right, let me get this bass in here. And when I'm mixing, let me open this mix window really quick. When I'm mixing, I'm paying attention to this master output because I like for the volume of my entire mix to come in at about -6 decibels. And that entire mix is everything, the drums, the bass, right? Even if there's vocals, everything's coming in there. Because I'll make it louder when I master it. But this is kind of what I like to use as my gauge as I'm kind of putting everything together. I'm going to solo that kick really fast because I just want to do a couple things with this kick. I'm going to use an equalizer and I'm going to use a low pass filter. And if you look at a low pass filter, what it does is it filters out those frequencies that are above your preset frequency here. So right now we're at 8.7K, so everything above that gets filtered out. I'm going to filter some of those highs off of there. I'm going to go into the low end. I'll just filter off everything under 35 hertz. You get a lot of kind of low end rumble down there anyway. I'm not going to take too many lows off because this is a kick, so I'm not going to do that. But let's do that just to kind of start with. And I do want to beef that up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another equalizer here. And I'm adding this here, like I skipped this spot just in case I want to add some compression. Because what I like to do when I compress is I like to cut whatever I'm going to cut first, then go through a compressor, and then I'll boost with another equalizer. So let me just check this kick out. I want to beef him up a little bit. So I'm just going to sweep. Just going to sweep a little bit. Yeah, he's thumping. So I'm going to get more of a thump when I'm closer to 100 hertz, if that's what I'm looking for. I can get more of that low end boominess as I get down there in that 60 hertz range or so. A lot depends on what you're going for. I think I want it to thump a little bit. So I'm going to go to about 100 hertz. I'm just going to boost that by a few decibels. Okay. Let me bring my snare in. All right, let's get some toms in here. It's so interesting because on one of those toms, when it hits, I hear a little bit of static. So again, this was a student project for the most part. So we're not going to be like too crazy about that, but it probably was a cable going bad. But those are just things that, we're listening out for. Okay, let's get kind of bring the rest of these in. Let's get the congas in. Let's get the bass in here. And with the bass, I'm listening to the volume of the bass in connection with the kick. You know, I kind of look at them as like, you know, siblings down there in the low end. And so I want to hear that thump of the kick, but I also want to hear that fullness and the tone of the bass. So I'm listening to both and just trying to get a blend between the two. I'm going to do something with the snare here. I'm going to throw an EQ first, and I'm going to just roll off some of the low end. So this is a high pass filter I'm using, and you can kind of see the filter here. So a high pass filter is going to roll off frequencies that are below whatever frequency you set, and everything above is going to pass untouched. So I know that, you know, my bass, my kick, they're going to live down there under 160 in terms of the low end of those instruments. So the snare probably not going to have much going on down that way. So I'm going to kind of just start rolling off everything under that. It's, you know, I want that snare to cut through and not have frequencies that are intermingling with that bass or that kick. Let's check them out. Let me loop a section of this when they're really getting busy here. Okay, this section. Matter of fact, let's go to the end. See a lot happening here. So I'll do the same thing. I'll add an EQ. I'll skip a spot for compressor. I'll try to boost that snare. Oh, I know what happened here with these instruments. So there's a track labeled hi-hat. We actually didn't mic the hi-hat. This was actually the overhead that was next to the hi-hat. So that's what this was. That's why it kind of got mislabeled. So let me just move this down, and we'll call this overhead hat. That's what we'll call that. I'll just say OH hat. And so this ride overhead. So this is the overhead next to the ride. We can actually name that overhead floor because it's the overhead closest to the floor tom. I mean, naming is what it is, as long as I know what it is, but just want to correct that really fast. And I'm constantly going back to this master fader and just looking at the overall level there. So we're creeping up a little bit, but that's the beauty of this drum bus. I can control the overall level of them drums with the drum bus. That's the beauty of it. All the drums are coming through that bus.